Hello, welcome to my very first crochet tutorial here on YouTube. Thank you so much for stopping by. It has been a very fun learning experience and I cannot wait to show you how to make your very own little Punkin the Pumpkin Bear. I do have a few notes I'd like to share with you, but if you want to go ahead and jump right on in, feel free to jump to the time you see right here on your screen. As far as notes go, this is written in US terms and this is technically a loso pattern. You crochet the arms first, you make the body starting bottom up, you crochet them in, you create the face, the ears are surface crocheted in, but the hat and the legs you will make separately, and so on. And of course the little embroidered nose and possible little eye details if you wish. A written pretty version and printer friendly version of the pattern is also available now on my Etsy if you would much prefer that route. And lastly, please do not reproduce or publish this pattern in part or in full. I worked very hard to create little Punkin here and I would much appreciate that respect. However, please feel free to create and sell as many as you wish. I just ask that you credit me as the designer and I would love if you would tag me or send me pictures on Instagram of all of Punkin's little extended family. Next on your screen, I will provide a list of materials that you will need along with some abbreviation terms. Then I will provide a quick reference to the few pumpkins that I've already made for sizes and materials just in case you're wondering. And then we'll jump right into this cute pattern for little Punkin. Now for the fun part, let's get started on making your very own little Punkin Bear. Today I will be using Big Twist Posh and Big Twist Baby Bear to make basically the exact same bear that you see right here, but I'm going to be inverting the colors. So instead of this one, I will be using brown butter for the main body portion, and then for the snout and the pumpkin I will be using the exact same colors. So for the nose I will be using Croissant from Big Twist Posh, body will be Mandarin Orange Glow from Big Twist Posh, and then for the little stem on the pumpkin hat I will be using Baby Bear from Big Twist Posh in, what is this color? Brown Sugar. Then just for the nose and the white, I just have some little scraps that I will be using. And I haven't fully decided yet if I want to do the solid black eyes or if I want to do these little 16mm eyes with a yellow glitter disc in them. So it'll be a surprise to both you and me, but let's get started. I also forgot to mention I will be using a 5mm hook today. So let's get started with the arms. Make a magic circle or the chain 2 method if you would prefer. And then we are going to do 6 single crochets in a magic ring. Okay, once you have your 6 single crochets, close the ring, and then we will begin on round 2. Round 2 will be 6 single crochet increases all the way around, so we will end with 12 single crochets. So there's my first one. So first single crochet, give me a stitch marker, and then continue on. So there's 2, 4, 5, lost it there, 11 and 12. And right here I typically like to, after I do a couple rows, I like to go ahead and knot this back since we're not going to need it. So let me just go ahead and do that real quick. All right. So now for rounds 3 to 11, we're going to do 12 single crochets around for the entire time. So that will be 9 rows of 12 single crochets, and or it'll come out to be a total of 108 stitches if you prefer to just count all at once. And I think actually that's what I'm going to do this time. So I'll do my first single crochet, and I'm going to mark that just in case I lose track. But now I'm going to finish up the remaining 107 single crochets. So that is now 9 rounds of 12 single crochets, or 108 stitches total. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lightly stuff this arm. I recommend only going up to round between 4 and 5, because as you can see here, the arm kind of flops over to the side to hang over the pumpkin body. So you really don't want to stuff it all the way out here, or it'll be just completely standing out. So let's see. Let's see if this is enough or too much stuffing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, that's about perfect. Yeah, that'll work. So now, for the final round, for round 12, we are just going to do 6 single crochets across the top to close it up. And for this pattern, I made the arms. No, so we're going to crochet those into the body. But if you do prefer to sew the arms on, that's totally fine. Go ahead and leave you a longer tail, but I'm going to just cut me a little short tail because I do not want to have to sew this on when I can easily crochet it in. So there is one arm. Now pause the video, go ahead and make you a second arm, and then I'll meet you back here to start on the pumpkin body. Now time to start on the little pumpkin body. So this is going to be worked from the bottom up, and then we're going to attach the arms and then work on the head. The pumpkin hat is made separately and sewn on, and the ears are service crocheted in, but the little muzzle right here, the nose, it is also worked into the pattern, as you can see. We're going to be starting from the bottom, but the pumpkin body is going to be one round. Like, I'm going to consider it one round. And then once we start to work on the decrease round right here, right before we change to the body round, then I'll go on to round 2. So this entire section right here, I am considering round 1, just to let you know. We will start by making a chain of 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Of our chain of 16, and we are going to do 15 single crochets back down this chain in the back bump, just so that the edging will be nice and straight. So there's 1 in the back, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes these back bumps can be a little finicky to get through, but almost there. All right, and there is 15. Now is chain 1, turn our work, and then for this next row, we are going to single crochet this first one through both loops of this first stitch, so do that. Now for the next 13, since there's only 15 stitches, on here, the first one is going to be through both loops, the last one is going to be through both loops, but the 13 in the middle are going to be in the back loop only. So for the next 13, just in this back loop only, single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 11, 12, 13, and then single crochet through both loops for this very last one. Chain 1 and turn our work. Let's do 2 more rounds of that, and you'll really be able to start seeing how pronounced it comes out. So we've already done our chain 1, so single crochet through both loops of this first stitch. For the next 13, back loop only, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 13, then single crochet through both loops of this 15th stitch, chain 1, turn our work. And I'll do one more with you, and then we'll start to see how the ridging really takes effect. You'll really be able to see it after this 4th row. So single crochet the first one through both loops, 13 single crochets in the back loop only. And whoops, 12, 13, and then in this last stitch, both loop both loops, single crochet, chain one, turn or work. So what we need to do is continue doing single crochet in both loops, 13 single crochets in the back loop only, and then one single crochet in this last one through both loops for another 15 rows. So we will have 19 rows total, and then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch this end once it's done back to this very first one, and that will create the 20th row. So all right, continue doing this for another 15 rounds until you have 19 rows total, and I'll see you back for the next step where we slip stitch both ends together. 19 rows are now complete, and you can definitely see all of the texture that this has made, the little ridges right here, and as you can see this ridge that I'm talking about, it's so much easier to see now and to count your rows. So here's one ridge, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 rows, and then we have this 19th one here all by its lonesome. And also, if you'll notice, the end of your yarn is also at the same end right now as your starting tail. That's what we want. So now we are about to start working up the body a little bit more into the head. What we are going to do is we're going to slip stitch both of these together in their back loops only. So put them together, in this back loop and this back loop are going to be slip stitched together, so you should have 15 slip stitches. We need to chain one just to make sure, so go down in that last stitch from your last row, back loop only of the very first row, slip stitch together. Next one, back loop only, slip stitch. So you should have 15 slip stitches. 15. All right. And what we are going to do is flip it inside out and be sure to pull that tail through. All right, and we now have our body. Now is where we are going to start decreasing so that we can start working up towards the head. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain one first. Want to decrease until we have 8 stitches, 8 single crochets. So what you should be doing is 12 decreases around, but I do know with the plush yarn it's kind of really hard to see where these little divots are. So what I like to do is, since there's 2 rows in this little divot, go through 1 and 2. So that is my first one. Where's my stitch marker? There it is. And I just mark it just in case, but you should be doing 12 decreases around until you have 8 stitches left. But again, I do know with plush yarn it's a little hard, so just try your best, but we need 8 stitches left at the end. So however you have to get to 8, you go right ahead and do it. But let me go around. So let's see, there's 3, 4 decreases, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This 10th one's going to be a little tight because that's back where we did our slip stitch row. So there's 10. And so now we'll start back in this first decrease that we made. So here is 11. I'm just going to mark it just so I've got it. 11. And so this should be 12, and I should now have 8 stitches. Actually, I'm going to take that back out. Let's count. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8. But actually what I didn't tell you, sorry, is this last one, this last decrease, we are actually going to change color to the body color. So now I've got my body color over here. Let's attach that. So to get started on the head, we had 8 stitches since we did all those decreases, and we are now going to do 8 increases. So we will need 16 stitches. So there are my first 2. Let me just mark that first one just in case, even though it's a completely different color and I can see it, I still like to mark it. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Now on round 4, we will be attaching the arms. Oh, get that orange yarn out of here. We will be attaching the arms. So we are going to start with 1 single crochet. Just mark that again. Okay, so 1 single crochet. Then I'm going to attach one of the arms with 6 single crochets since we closed it up with 6 single crochets. Go through all 6 of those. So 1, that tail end out of there, pull it down, 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, if you prefer to sew this arm on, this would be the row 4 of where you would sew them in on, but we are going to crochet them in the rest of it. Okay, and then we do 2 more single crochets. Then now get your second arm. We will attach it with 6 more crochets. Okay, where's that next stitch? It's right there. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, last one, 6, and then finish off this row with 1 last single crochet. Let's move on to round 5, and this round will be a single crochet and then a increase 8 times, so that will come up to be 24 stitches. So that is my first single crochet. Mark it and increase. 1, 2, single crochet, increase. 2, single crochet, increase. 1, 2. Do that all the way around. Okay, that is round 5. We now have 24 stitches. Round 6 will be single crochet 2 and then an increase. So there is my first stitch, 1 single crochet, 1 more single crochet, and then an increase. 1, 2, single crochet, oops, increase, single crochet, increase all the way around, and you should have 32 stitches by the end of this. And then now on rounds 7 through 10, this is where we're going to be doing the color change for the nose. So if you want to continue on with just this color, that's totally fine. Just skip over what I just said for the color changes, but this is where we're going to be doing this. And the color changes are only going to be the half double crochet stitches. So all the single crochets like normal are going to be the main body color, but if you do want to do the color changes, it's going to be all of the half double crochet stitches in the next 4 rounds, rounds 7 through 10. So now for round 7, we are going to start with 14 single crochets, and just keep an eye on your tension. I know that tension is always something that is a big thing. Just make sure, of course, make the nose right here, just make sure your half double crochets are being even with the arm placement. So let's continue on. So I've already made 2 single crochets on this round, so let's continue on. I need 14 total. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And so before I finish this 14th stitch, you're going to get the nose color we are going to attach. So there was our last 14th brown body color stitch, and we've changed now to the nose color. What we're going to do is half double crochet increases for the next 4 stitches. So we will have 8 half double crochets. So there is 1, 2, there's 1 increase, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then on that 8th one, change back to the body color. We're going to continue the rest of the round with single crochets. I'm going to do 14 more of those. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Round 8 and 9 are going to be the exact same thing. So we are going to start with 14 single crochets like we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, And then on this 14th, we will change back to the nose color. And now we just do 8 half double crochets across this. There's no increases, it's just straight across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and change back to the body color. And then 14 more single crochets to the end of the round with the body color. We're starting on round 9. We're going to repeat round 8 again. Okay, now for round 10, we're going to be doing 14 single crochets in the body color like we have been. Okay, attach our nose color one last time. And this time we are going to be doing 4 half double crochet decreases. So yarn over, pull up, yarn over again, pull up through the next stitch, and close them all. There's 1. There is 2. Make sure I carry the yarn. There is 3. And there is, oops, there's 4. And change back to the body color. Continue on with 14 more single crochets in the body color. This is what it should look like, and see how it's even. So you may need to adjust your tension, your stitches just by a couple, and we are just going to continue on. So for round 11 and 12 it is just a single crochet around. You'll be doing 32 single crochets around for round 11 and 12. So after I finish 2 rounds of single crochets, I will come back and we will finish up the last 3 rounds of the head. Round 11 and 12 are now complete, just 2 rounds of single crochets. Now let's move on to round 13. Round 13 will be 2 single crochets and then a decrease all the way around until we get to 24 stitches. So there is my first single crochet, if I can get the stitch marker in. Alright, single crochet, then a decrease. Single crochet, and then a decrease all the way around. Alright, round is complete. I'm going to pull out just a little bit more yarn. We only have 2 rounds left, but right here I'd like to go ahead and add the eyes. And where I like to put the eyes is between rounds 11 and 12 that we did right here after the nose. And what I like to do is over here on these half double crochet decreases, I like one on the outside of each half double crochet decrease in between rounds 11 and 12. Let's put the backs on and continue with round 14. Round 13 is now done. We have the eyes in. We're going to go ahead and start on round 14. If you want to go ahead and start stuffing right here, feel free to, but I will start stuffing after round 14. So for round 14, we will be doing 1 single crochet and 1 decrease all the way around to bring our total stitch count down to 16. Okay, round 14 is done. Pull up the yarn for just a little bit, and let's start stuffing the head. All right. And of course, don't push through too hard just yet. We'll come back to that here in a minute when we start to close up the pumpkin and start to stuff it too. So even if you close the head up and then you still think, oh, I need to add a little bit more, well, we can add it through the bottom, but we will come to that here in just a second. So I think that's good for right now. For round 15, the last round of the head, we are just going to do 8 decreases around. Push all that stuffing down. All right, so there's 1 decrease, stitch marker back in, 2, 3 decreases, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. And now just leave a decent enough tail to where you can sew this up. But like I mentioned earlier, I want to bring this down. You do not have to do this. This is just a personal preference for me to help anchor it a little bit. After I do the sewing right here to close this up, I like to bring the tail out down to right here. So I'm going to leave a long enough tail to do that. Okay. And so like you can see, this guy has a little hat. So what I'm just going to do, I know some people like to do the front loops of the remaining stitches of this last round. I'm just going to go ahead and go through both loops because we are going to be covering it up anyway. Thankfully, every time you sew, you know, you get all these little fuzzies and stuff. We're also going to be covering that up. So that is wonderful. Okay. And now, like I mentioned, I am going to push this almost all the way through. I can't do it. It's a little too chunky, and then I'll go right back in there, in that same stitch, and bring it out basically to that last orange stitch, the last orange decrease stitch that we did, and pull it through, and then just pull it off of my needle. So whenever I finish this body up, I'll bring it up here, I'll tie a knot in there, and then just shove it back into the head, which that is what we are going to do next. Oh my goodness, look at all these little fuzzies. Let's get some of those off. Oh, and you do not have to leave the yarn tails out. I didn't mention that, but I do like to do that on most of mine just to also help anchor it down a little bit. I really want to make sure that my items are sturdy if they're going to their forever home and not just going to be sitting in my home. So now let's start stuffing the body, and then we will close it up and bring it through the head up to the head, which will also help with the cinching of the roundness to kind of give it more of a pumpkin shape. So to put the yarn back on my needle, the orange yarn, and since we have 20 rounds, I'm going to try my absolute best. It's kind of hard to see down here, but I'm going to try to go through each row as best I can to cinch this up to close it together. So there is 3, and I need 24, 5. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of close that just a little bit. 5, round 6, row 6, 6, 7. There's 14, 15, and 16. Like here's the 20th. But as you can see, it's really not cinching very well. So I'm going to go over it again. Just work it around until you can get this hole closed. Okay, so I think now I've got it sewn closed enough, and the legs are going to go right here, right over this. So you're really not even going to see this at all. Now that I think I've got it good and closed, I'm going to put it directly through the bottom. I'm going to come up somewhere halfway through the body just to get it going. I can't, with this yarn, with the acrylic, I was able to push it almost all the way entirely through the body, but with this, I can't. It's a little too chunky. And so right here, be real careful. I start to pull a little bit to kind of start cinching it up to make the pumpkin look. Back through. Okay, we're a little bit further. We're almost there. Pull it just a little bit more. Be careful. Don't break your yarn. And then keep going to where the tail end from the head came out, where we pulled it out. So now they are in same exact stitch. Good deal. Let's tie the ends together if I can find it. There it is. I like to tie 3 times. Okay, cut off the little bit of excess just to where there's a little bit left, and then shove it down into the body. Our little bear is coming right along. As you can see, they're almost twins, but not yet. Almost kind of like third cousins at the moment. But I also went ahead and sewed in the remaining tail ends from the arms. So now let's go ahead and get started on the legs. Starting on the first leg, both legs, of course, will be worked the exact same way except for the very last round. So let's go ahead and get started on the first one, and then I'll tell you what's different on the second one. So we start with a magic ring or your chain 2 method, whichever you prefer. And we're going to put 6 single crochets inside of it. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pull it closed. For round 2, we'll do 6 increases around to make 12. So there's my first one. Place a stitch marker and continue around until you have 12 single crochets.
11 and 12. I'm gonna pull the yarn out and I'm going to tie this end real quick. Round 3 we will single crochet 1 and then do an increase all the way around for 18 stitches. So there's 1 single crochet, do it, increase, single crochet, increase all the way around. Now that we have 18 stitches for round 4, we will be doing 18 single crochets all the way around, but in the back loop only. So remember that back one is the back loop. So there's 1, and then all the way around just in the back loop only, 18 single crochets. Round 5, working back into both loops, we will be doing 6 single crochets and then 3 decreases and 6 more single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 regular single crochets. Then we're going to do 3 single crochet decreases. There's 1, 2, and 3, and then 6 more normal single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, 5, and 6. For round 6, we will start with 5 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we'll do 3 more decreases. So 1, 2 decreases, and there's the third, and then we will finish off with 4 single crochets. 2, 3, and 4. And so now for rounds 7 through 12, which is 6 rows, you will just do 12 single crochets around for each row. I'm gonna do 1 single crochet all the way around for 6 rows, and the math on that comes out to a total of 72 stitches if you would prefer to do it that way. Now that my 6 rounds of 12 single crochets around, or 72 total stitches, is done, I'm going to pull up a loop for a minute, and then we are going to stuff the foot just to the end of round roughly 5 or 6 where the last decreases were that we did. And the reason why is because I want it to be floppy so that he can sit just like this. Going to do that now, and it won't take too much, at least with the Posh weight yarn. Let's see, that is way too much. Yep, that's good. Okay. Yep, it stops about right here, right where those decreases are. And for the first foot, we are going to single crochet 6 across the top, but of course make sure that the where you are single crocheting is flat and even with the decreases. So right here looks about right. You may need to add or take away a stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, 5 and 6. Is this even now? Yes, that is much more even. So the 6 single crochets flat across is fairly even with the decreases right here in the foot. And for the first foot, you don't need a long tail, but I like to leave a little bit of a tail just in case for sewing up any gap or just any extra anchoring that I want to do. So here's the first foot. Make the second foot the exact same way, but do not do this last single crochet across the top just yet. We will come back whenever I finish up my second foot. I will come back and show you what to do on the second one. Second leg is now done and stuffed down to the decreases, but like I mentioned, this is going to be done a little different. So I'm not going to crochet just the 6 across. I'm actually going to do 12. I'm going to single crochet both of these together. So just like the first one, make sure everything is lined up and even, and do these 6 single crochet across the top. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 6. But now get the other foot, the first foot, and we are going to single crochet across the top of these as well. So 6 more single crochet. 1, pull that one tight, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now both legs, I'm just going to pull that out for a minute, both legs are now crocheted together. That way you will just be sewing this part to the bottom of the little pumpkin bear right here. You're just going to go back and forth through that, and it will be able to sit flat just like this. So be sure that you leave a long enough tail for sewing. Yet again, pull that through, and there we have it. The legs are now done and connected. So now, since the legs are done, we are going to be attaching the legs. Might as well. Let's go ahead and do that. There's no real spot that I can tell you to put them in outside of make them as dead even, if you can see, on the body as possible down here at the bottom of the pumpkin, and also even with the arms. So it's going to depend on your tension, so that's why I can't really exactly tell you where to put them, but just make sure that it's even with the body, and then also center of the pumpkin body, and you will be good to go. And as you can see, I just did a little whip stitch right here. I do not have any Ami sticks or anything like that, so I am just going to flip this upside down and just hold it in place right here. I'm going to try to even it up as much as possible and then whip stitch it. So I'm going to do this off camera and then come back and show you once I'm done. But yeah, I'm going to do it this way, if you will. I'm going to hold it right here, make sure everything's lined up, and then I'm going to whip stitch it from this way. Legs are now attached. Here we go. And yep, they are even with the arms, and they are just dead center on the bottom of the pumpkin. But yeah, you may look and say, oh, well, the legs kind of look funny. They're kind of pointing out a little bit. Well, that's kind of by design so that he can sit. But he needs a little something extra to kind of, you know, hold him in place. So why don't we give him a little tail? What I like to do is wherever the leg is, wherever I've sewn it in, I go up about 5 or 6 of these little post stitches right here that you can see from the body. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to hold 5 real quick and just kind of look at my other one. It does look like I went up 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like I went up 5. So let's stick with right here. Let's go up with 5. Feel free to go up 6 if you want, but I think 5 will help to hold him when he's sitting here. And then if he leans back a little bit, the bobble will be just right here, just enough. So if you want to even do it maybe 4 down, just to kind of help a little bit more with the stability, that's totally fine. But I feel like that's a little too far down for my personal liking, so I'm going to do 5 stitches up. And all we are going to do is make a bobble with 4 double crochet, so you will have 5 loops on your hook. So let's go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to attach my yarn, chain 1, and then I'm going to do 4 double crochets in this full stitch. So there's 1, 2, let me get more on camera for you, 3, and 4. You will have 5 loops on your hook, as you can see. Pull through all of them, and then I'm going to leave me a little tail, and just make sure real quick, I'm just going to pull up the loop just a little bit. Is this where I want it? I think that's about right. I'm pulling the yarn through, and then I'm going to sew this down. This will be a lot easier to sew down than the legs. And then so where we were at, this stitch right here that I was at, all I like to do is come over here and get both 2 of these right beside it to just kind of help anchor it down a little bit more. Pull that up, and then I come back into the bobble, as in like right up here. You attach the bobble how you feel necessary, but I really like to anchor stuff down. So I came in through just the middle of the bobble, anchored it down, and then I'm pulling it back through, back into this stitch where I was, just coming out the bottom. That thing is not going to move. This was my initial tail, and so I'm going to come back just right over here where the actual stitch was made. It's kind of a big gap, you can see it. Put that through there, come out where this other one's at, tie it off, do 2 knots. That should be good for just a little bobble tail. Snip off, push in. We now have a little bobble tail. Really hard to see, but he is sitting. I'll give you a better view here in just a little bit. So now let's go ahead and give him a little nose. So I've cut me off just a little bit of scrap yarn. And what I like to do, I'm going to go in through the side of the cheek over here. And then you can see where the half double crochet increases where that we did. I'm going to put it through this middle one right here on the very bottom. Bring that up. Leave a little bit of a tail to sew and hide here in just a little bit. And then I'm going to bring it through the middle of the half double crochet decreases. So just right in here. We'll see, is that going to be even? You may have to finagle it just a little bit. So right there. And then where I'm going to come out at, is where there are 2 half double crochets right here. I'm going to come in between this second and this third one here on this side. So let's pull that through and see if it's even. Whoop, get that tail out of the way. It's fairly even. If we need to fix it here in just a little bit, we can, but that's fairly even. I may move it over one more here in just a minute, but anyway. So I left 2 on this side, 2 half double crochets on this side. So I'm going to pull it all the way through to where there's 2 half double crochets on this side. Go right through here. Bring it back over to this side again. Just be careful and pull it across. That way you're not smooshing down the face too terribly much. So there's one pass, and then just repeat that. Just keep going back over to that stitch, pulling it back through as many times, whoops, as you think is necessary for thickness. So I may do, let's do a third now. So let's see. There's 3. So what do I think about 3? Let's do another one down here. So put it back through, whoop, again. Put it to the bottom this time. Do we need another one? I think we need another one on the top. Yeah, so let's do a 5th. And then I'm going to bring, and I think that'll be enough. And I'm going to bring it out to where my starting tail was. So that way I can tie them together if I like it. So let's bring that out. Okay. Just hold it in place where you like it. So I want it there. And if you want to use some fabric glue or something too, I would highly recommend it. That way the nose doesn't move. But yeah, I think that is where I want to leave it. Do I want to move this? I think I want to move this. So I'm just going to pull this the initial tail, excuse me, out, and I'm going to move it over 1. Just kind of depends on tension and, you know, personal preference. I'm going to pull that through. Is everything even? Looking good? Looking cute? I think he's good. So let's tie a couple knots, snip off, push in, and we now have a little bit of a face. Oh, let me get more on camera. A little bit of a face going on. Now let's give him some ears. For the ears, we're going to be attaching them in the same row as the eyes. So this round 11 and 12. We're going to be doing it either for this side. It's either going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4 stitches behind that you're going to attach your yarn into. So let me see. So here's the third, whoops, here is the third stitch. I think that's a little too close to the eye for me. So I'm going to go back 1 more stitch. So this is the 4th stitch, and I think that's going to be perfect for the ear. Attach a piece of yarn right here. Then I'm going to chain 2, and then now we're going to make 5 double crochets in that exact same stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 double crochets in that same stitch. Chain 2, slip stitch back into that same stitch, and then cut you some yarn so that you can tie in the end and just pull it up just a minute or just a little bit so you can see, is that where you want your ear? And yes, I love that positioning right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the yarn through, and I will anchor it in just a second, but let's go ahead and get onto this side. So same thing. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th back. So is that looks about even to me. So yeah, let's go for it. Okay. Attach yarn again. Chain 2. Whoop. Struggling a little bit. Chain 2. And then 5 double crochets in that same stitch. Let me put him down for a minute. Okay, so we got 1. Just 1 double crochet. Here's 2. 3. 4. Whoops. Nope. 3. 4 and 5, chain 2, and slip stitch back into that same, whoops, slip stitch back into the same stitch. Okay, does it look even? It sure does. All right, let's fasten off and weave in the little tail ends here. Look at how adorable and basically perfect this guy is, but you know, his head's a little flat. It's like he's missing something. That's right. He needs a little hat, so let's make him one. For the hat, take your pumpkin colored yarn again, make a magic ring or the chain 2 method, whichever you prefer, and we are going to put 6 single crochets in that magic ring. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pull it tight. All right, for the next round, we are going to do 6 increases to make 12 stitches. So there is 1 single crochet, get the stitch marker on there, 2, 3, 4. And there is 12. For the next round, we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase all the way around to give us 18 stitches. So there is 1 single crochet and then an increase, single crochet, increase. Okay, we now have our 18, and all we need to do is remove the stitch marker, slip stitch to the very first stitch, leave a good tail for sewing, and whoops, and fasten off. But before we sew this onto the head, let's make a little stem. And to make the stem, just leave a little bit of a tail for this because we are just going to pull it through the top, the little 6 single crochets that we made right here. We're just going to pull one side through here, one side through here, double knot them on the bottom, and call it a day. So just leave a little bit of a tail so that you can pull it through. And then we are going to chain 4. We're going to make a chain. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then just single crochet 3 back down this chain in the back bumps. There's 2 and there's 3, and fasten off about the same size tail. Pull that through, and now get your needle, or actually, you could use a crochet hook if you wanted to. Pull it through, whoop, and then directly on the other side, the opposite side, pull the other one through. Whoop. There we go. Double knot, snip it off, and there we have a little pumpkin hat. So now bring your new, almost completed best buddy back over, get you a needle, and we're just going to put it directly in the middle of his head and sew it down.
Thank you so much for checking out my very first crochet pattern. Any comments or feedback you have would be welcomed and much appreciated. A link to the written pattern on my Etsy will be linked below. I hope you enjoyed making your brand new little pumpkin buddy. And as always, I hope you've had a wonderful day, and we'll holler at y'all in the next one. Bye!